defenders, they shiver. Goalkeepers nervous, strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80
Apparently, Cole Palmer takes a dig at Enzo Maresca. I don't know what to make about that. What do you make about that? Obviously, Chelsea has had, you know, a very poor running, to getting towards the end of the season. At least before preseason or during preseason, at least everyone was thinking probably Chelsea. At least the expectation was Chelsea should finish in the top four at least. For me, my thought was Chelsea should, be the best of the rest. Maybe you have your Liverpool top, you have your Man City second, you have your Arsenal third, based on where the teams are on in their project, and then you have Chelsea fourth and become the best of the rest. But that's not been the case this season. Combination of factors. You've had injuries at odd times. You've had, Enzo Maresca coming up with weird tactics in terms of how he's used players. You've had Cole Palmer falling out of form. So just a combination of factors. And then, we've had this talk of, Cole Palmer apparently put out a post on Instagram, highlighting the Everton game under Pochettino where he scored 4 goals. And people are taking that to mean a dig at Enzo Maresca. I don't think it is a dig at Enzo Maresca because I think people just like to, escalate issues, make things look worse than they are. For me, in my opinion, I think Cole Palmer is just doing that for himself, trying to say, this is what I've done before. I can still do it again because he's been on a poor run of form. He has really been on a poor run of form. So I'm sure he's doing that to say, don't worry, guys, don't worry, fans. I'm coming back. I've done this before. I did this. I scored 4 goals against Everton last season under Pochettino. I'm sure I can hit those heights again, this season and probably help Chelsea get into that top four, spot or finish in fifth, because this time around, finishing fifth, you could most likely qualify for the Champions League still. So I don't see that as a dig. I wonder what you think. Do you see that as a dig at Enzo Maresca? That's on one side. Now, even if it's a dig at Enzo Maresca, for me, I don't like those sort of things. You are a player, you are on the pitch, you have, all the opportunities to change the game, to change how things work out. And Palmer have been playing in that 10 role. So I don't get any reason for him to feel bad, or have any, bad feelings towards Enzo Maresca, in my opinion. I don't see any reason why he should. I don't see any reason why he should. In fact, he should be happy and grateful to Enzo Maresca because Enzo Maresca has had this thing where he wants to play him through his poor form. That's when a player is on poor form, a coach usually has 2 options: keep him on the bench, bring him on in moments, or keep him on the bench for a while and let him recalibrate and let him, feel the impact of being on the bench, and maybe that will motivate him, take him out of the firing line, and then come onto the pitch and maybe hit back his good form. Or you play the player through his bad form, hoping and praying that player, comes through that bad form, is able to play through bad form and get to, his excellent form. Now, that's what Enzo Maresca has been doing with Cole Palmer. So I don't see any reason for Cole Palmer to want to take a dig at Enzo Maresca, because he's been playing him in his favored position. And it is because of Palmer, the likes of João Felix are out on loan, no longer in the club. The likes of Nkunku, are not, is not seeing game time in his favored position because Enzo Maresca favors Cole Palmer to play in that 10 role behind the striker. Now, I've been pointing out aspects of Cole Palmer's game, and people think, oh, he's the best player in Chelsea. He's Chelsea's most important player. How can you criticize him? No one is perfect. No player is perfect. No coach is perfect. No pundit is perfect. No YouTube content creator or whoever is perfect. No. You have flaws in your game. You have things you can improve on. And Cole Palmer, during the course of the season, there are aspects of his game, just little things, little marginal things that point to issues Cole Palmer has been having. Cole Palmer, has been holding on to the ball a tad too long. I've called this out I've called this out a long time ago, several weeks ago. He holds onto the ball too long against Fulham. He held onto the ball too long, lost the ball. Against Crystal Palace, held onto the ball too long, lost lost possession, and cost Chelsea points. And then even in the Leicester City game, you know, and not the Leicester in the Ipswich Town game at Stamford Bridge, there are moments where he could have released the ball earlier and released the ball sooner, you know, to Madueke, to Neto, to even Jackson at times, to quicken up the play, make the counter attack work a bit faster. Now I know why he's doing what he's doing. Now I don't think he's doing it out of malice or ill content or ill intention. No, I don't think so. I think he feels like he is the best player in the team. He is the most important player in the team, and it is his responsibility to make things work. It is his responsibility to ensure that Chelsea gets those points. So sometimes he wants to dribble one too many players. Sometimes he wants to be the one to take the shot, from distance to just ensure that the team gets the points that it needs. But that's the wrong way to do it, because once your confidence is low, once your form is low, certain things that usually would work like clockwork wouldn't work anymore, or wouldn't work as well as they would. So what you should do normally is make the game simple for yourself. And how do you make the game simple for yourself? Like Cole Palmer, you have the ball, you with the ball, you lay it off easy. That's simple pass. Simple pass to Madueke, simple pass to Jackson, simple pass to Neto, simple pass to simple pass to Tosin. And you keep the game ticking along, you keep the game flowing. But when you keep forcing it, you keep making errors, you keep making mistakes, and then you don't get what you want to get. You don't get the outcome you want to get. So for one, I don't think that Cole Palmer was taking a dig at Enzo Maresca. Secondly, I think Cole Palmer himself has a lot to improve on. He has a lot that he has to improve in his game. He is right up there. He's a very, very good player. But to get to that next level, you have to start making the right decisions. The right decision is not always you scoring. It could be you creating that assist. It could be you giving that pass before it gets to the point of the assist. Just it could be you playing that ball first time as opposed to having two more touches on the ball. So I think that's it with Cole Palmer, and I don't think Enzo Maresca, Cole Palmer taking the dig at Enzo Maresca. That's one. And then we go to the question of the fans booing Enzo Maresca. Now, for me, I will not tell any fan how to support the team. I will not tell any fan, not to boo the players, not to boo the manager. But one question I would ask you is this: when you're in the stadium, when you're in Stamford Bridge, when you're booing the players, what do you want to achieve? Do you want to inspire confidence in the players? Do you want to make them get shaky on the pitch? What do you think your booing would achieve? Rather than making the stadium, a difficult place for opposition teams to come, you on your own are beginning to make your player feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to say don't boo. It is your right. You have your voice. You have your vocal cords. You could go on. You could boo if you want to. But does it help the team? Does it help the team get the points? Does it help the team get into those Champions League spots? So why would you want to boo? But that's left for you for fans that boo the player, that boo the coach. For people who already have their confidence shattered, like your Robert Sanchez, like even your Cole Palmer, your Malo Gusto, what do you expect them to do when you boo their every touch? What do you expect them to do? It's not a question of being entitled. No. Oh, they're used to winning, they're feeling entitled. No, that's not it. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, even Liverpool teams in the Premier League, do they boo their own teams? You don't do that. You don't boo your own team except it gets to a point where it's extreme, some extreme situations. But there it is. If you want to boo the team, go ahead. That's your prerogative. But if you will take my advice, I prefer you boo the opposing players and you cheer your own team, so you inspire them to play even better on the pitch. That's my take on that. And then going on to other aspects of Enzo Maresca. The people say, with the board sack Enzo Maresca, some we're hearing feelers that they're not going to sack him, that his position is safe. Now, end of the day, it is how he coaches on the pitch, his tactics that will determine if he will remain in the job. But I think he's been getting a lot of things wrong, in my opinion, Enzo Maresca. Tactically, he's robbed the players of their natural ability. Now, a lot of people are trying to have revisionist history, tell us tales of revisionist history. How Pochettino, the team was excited under Pochettino. Yeah, at some point it was, but Pochettino was still making similar mistakes, still made similar mistakes. He played Disasi at right back when Gusto was on the bench. There was a game where Chelsea had 3 fit fullbacks, and he played, a centre back at left back. Something similar to what Enzo Maresca is doing. He's using his fullbacks, playing them in midfield as opposed to playing them in in their favorite position. For no reason. I keep asking myself this question, and I want you to help me answer this. What is the benefit of playing a fullback as an 8 or as a 6? What benefit do you get? Especially when you have 8s on the bench, when you have 6s on the bench. What is the benefit of leaving those defensive midfielders, of leaving those 8s on the bench, or not even having them in the squad, and then playing the fullback in their position? What is the benefit? Now, for me, I'm all about dynamic fullback play. You overlap, you underlap, you provide support, for your winger, you drop into the box sometimes, but be dynamic. But one thing Enzo Maresca has done, he has taken the dynamism away from these players. Yes, he has. In my opinion, he has done that. And that's one of the reasons, why Chelsea are languishing in 5th or in 6th and are struggling, really struggling to make it into the top 4. Because for whatever reason, he's decided that, no, I will play 30 players at the position because that's my philosophy. And there was no reason to do it. He had João Felix. He made it uncomfortable for him to be there. He left. Nkunku, he killed Nkunku's confidence, playing him in odd positions. So for me, in that regard, he has to be blamed. In that regard, he has to be held accountable. Enzo Maresca, Chelsea's head coach, Enzo Maresca, must be held accountable for his wrong team selection, his wrong tactics, his refusal to adapt within game. In-game management has been poor, because you can clearly see how the opposition team, for instance, like Ipswich Town, how they want to play. It's clear from the first blast of the whistle. But for whatever reason, he decides that, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, after that, we'll go to another topic and then we'll come back to this as well. Now, reportedly, Chelsea have been linked to Georginio Rutter, the striker for Brighton. Yes, another Brighton player. For me, at this point, this is not even copying someone's homework. This is stealing someone's book. The person has done the homework, done the assignment in the book, and you snatch it and run away. So this is not even Chelsea copying Brighton's homework. Because what you would expect is, if you want to follow or copy Brighton's model, you go for players that could be young, but are above the level of players that Brighton would usually have access to because of their clout, their recognition in world football, their recognition in Europe as a top club. Chelsea should rank higher than Brighton. But going to side Georginio Rutter, that doesn't make sense to me at all. I just think that just rumors. We're coming towards the end of the season. Everyone knows Chelsea has striker problems, so they're going to put up every name. It was Georginio Rutter. Just like the next one they're talking about, who is actually a very fine striker, but I don't think there's something serious. Of course, every club will be looking at different striking options, looking at different player options for different positions that they need, reinforcements in. But I don't really think that Chelsea are going for this player at the minute, and that is Victor Gyökeres. Victor Gyökeres, top player. We know his scoring exploits for Sporting Lisbon, why he did at Coventry, and then he's gone to Sporting Lisbon for the past 2-3 seasons and has been on fine form, uh, for Sporting Lisbon, and that's been good. And especially since Ruben Amorim left, he hasn't missed a step. He's continued to be, on fine form for the Portuguese club, and that's good, But talk of signing Victor Gyökeres, for me, everyone knows my number one choice. My number one choice is Victor Osimhen. But in terms of the strikers that Chelsea have available at the minute, there's no gainsaying it. Victor Gyökeres is way better, way better than Jackson. Jackson's got the pace. I think he may even be faster than Victor Gyökeres, but he doesn't have that killer instinct in the box. He doesn't have that awareness in the box. His body shape when he takes shots in the box is all wrong. So you can't have that person as your primary striker. So in that regard, I wouldn't really be upset if Victor Gyökeres is signed as Chelsea striker. I wouldn't really be upset. He's a top elite level striker. So I would take him at Chelsea. But for me, in terms of what the Premier League needs, the demands of the Premier League, and what Chelsea needs, I think Victor Osimhen is the best option, in my opinion. The strength, the power, the pace, that leadership mentality, that ability to batter defenders and take your battering and still get up and keep playing. Because seeing the way Gyökeres plays, he plays with intensity and pace, but I've not seen him really get bashed, really get bundled into by any defender. I've not quite seen it. Fair play. I don't really watch the Portuguese league that much, so maybe it does happen. But when you watch in Champions League, you don't really see him get battered and bruised like Diego Costa used to be, like Diego Drogba used to be. And definitely, one thing that happens in the Premier League is this: if you're a traditional top 4, top 6 side, for sure, you will always be played differently. Your strikers will be played differently, will be marked differently. You don't have the freedom that someone who's 11, 12, that team who's 11, 12, 13, 14 would have. So Victor Gyökeres, can he cope with that? That's one thing you have to look at. But if we're looking at him from a standpoint of someone who, you create a bunch of chances for, and, would he take the chances if that's the question you're asking? I think he would. But for me, it's just other aspects of the game. It's just where I have where I have my doubts with respect to Victor Gyökeres. There's other names who are floating around. Liam Delap. For me, the same question. Fine, physical striker. Fine, he's got pace. But can he take a beating? Can he take that tight market? Would he shine? Because for Ipswich Town, this is how it is. When you're playing for Ipswich Town or any team that just came up, that just come up from the championship into the Premier League, every team that goes to play you would come out to play. And what happens with that is your striker can now, as it is left isolated most times, 1v1 versus a centre back, or maybe with 2 centre backs and a winger to support him. So he's always free. The striker will always be free because the other team have the responsibility to attack, force the play, have the honors to try to win the game. While that team that just been promoted, if they draw the game against a Man City, for instance, against Liverpool, or against even an Everton, like, wow, good result, very good result, got a draw. But spinning the other way around, Man City playing against them, Chelsea playing against them, that will be seen as a poor result. That will be seen as a very, very poor result. So that's the question. Liam Delap, if he comes to Chelsea, would he be able to take the different style of marking That's one thing a lot of people keep out. They keep it aside. Oh, look at what he does. He scored 12 goals for Ipswich Town. Yes, that's a good point to raise in his defense. He scored 12 goals playing for Ipswich Town. You don't have that many chances. You don't have the quality, level of the quality of player that you have in the Chelsea. So if he comes to Chelsea and plays with better players, arguably better players, better quality players, he will definitely score more goals. But there is the flip side to it. There is the flip side to it. Will he be able to stand, take the battery? Will he be able to find a way to wriggle out of marking where you're having two centre backs on you, plus a central defensive midfielder, and maybe a fullback dropping in to make your life difficult? Would he be able to survive that? Would he be able to thrive, in those circumstances? So that's one thing Chelsea fans, that are sort of clamoring for Victor Gyökeres should consider. You have to consider that. Another thing again, I think he is too young. Why am I saying too young? The team on its own is littered with young players. Keep saying we need leaders on the pitch that are going to help the team, will lead the team, that will inspire people. How can Victor Gyökeres, sorry, how can Liam Delap lead this Chelsea team? How can? He's still a very, very young player. He's still inexperienced. So are we still going to make that excuse come next season if you sign Liam Delap? Oh, he's still young. We have to, take time with him. Let's hope in 2 or 3 years he will come back to he will reach his peak, and then we can say we'll have a World Cup striker. Is that what Chelsea fans want? Is that what Enzo Maresca wants? Sometimes in football, I've said this: if you want to win, you must get the best players. Because these young players that you sign at 18 years old, and they stay with the team for 3 years, and then they're 21. When it gets to the point where they need to win, they will leave you. They will make a push to leave the club. That used to happen to Arsenal a lot. Where Arsenal will have all these young academy players that they sign, have them in the team, playing, but just end up finishing fourth. And then when they keep finishing fourth or finish out of the Champions League, boom, Barcelona would come snag the Fabregas off their hands. Because at that point, Fabregas wanted to win. So that's one thing Chelsea have to avoid. You don't want another striker where you need to give 2 3 years to come good. You need a striker that can come into the team right now and perform. And let me even say this: if Chelsea had a top class striker, Chelsea would have comfortably been in third. Comfortably. There are a lot of games that just drop points where Nicholas Jackson have missed a lot of goals. A lot of goals. Give air chances that he missed. So for me, Liam Delap, nah. Gyökeres, if you can get Victor Osimhen, then Victor Gyökeres, no problems. I'll have him. Then going on to a different point of discussion, which is about Mafolanyo, Sao Paulo attacking player, that is eligible to play for Nigeria. There have been reports that he's switched his allegiance or looking to switch his allegiance to play from England to Nigeria. But he says he's still waiting for Eric Chale and the NFF to get in contact with him. So for me, I don't think he's super special. I think he's a very decent player, and very decent players can always contribute. Can always help you. So for me, the way I look at it is, since he says he wants to play, I think I'll put him on the same level as a Jacob Murphy. Jacob Murphy, he said he's holding out to play for England. So all the best to him. He should play for England. No worries about that. That's him off the board. So since you have a Jacob Murphy off the board, then your Afolayan could be a good candidate for that spot on the team, not as a starter or as a star, but someone that can contribute to the team. But for me, one thing I'll say is this: he's 27 now. So one thing I'll say is this: with due respect to Afolayan, he's a very, very good player. I said it, he's a decent player, but he's not a superstar, top level player that instantly changes the fate of your team. So whilst the NFF are looking at him, maybe he can come in, he can come on board, the top level talent like Ethan Wanemi should be looked at. And I've said it before, you can't keep having these accidents as your strategy where Ademola Lookman fell in your lap and miraculously has turned out to be a world-class player. You can't keep having that as your strategy. You can't keep going towards the players that, the that England or Spain or Italy have decided, oh no, we're not thinking about this player anymore. And then that's the one you go to get. And then you have the Nigerian Football Federation going all political about it. Oh, this is the player. This is our intent. We're showing you. We're getting you top level talent. To play for Nigerian Super Eagles. When if that player becomes a top level player, it wasn't because the NFF properly scouted and went to get a player with world class potential to play for the team. So I think that's one thing we should look at. And for me, still speaking about dual national switching to play for Nigeria, know that the Unity Cup will be on the 28th of May. So I think that will be a fine opportunity for certain players like Ethan Waneri, to have their debut, or at least get them to feel the team. I think that should be an opportunity as well. So Wade Sandberg, another one. So for those who are just joining the stream, what we've been talking about, the different topics we've talked about, like talk about Cole Palmer. Say apparently, some people are saying he took a dig at Enzo Maresca, after sort of feelers have come out from the club that Enzo Maresca wouldn't be sacked, and he will stay at the club at least to the end of the season. And so Cole Palmer put out a post on Instagram reportedly that showed the Everton game that Chelsea won 6-0 and he scored 4 goals. So a lot of people are saying Cole Palmer is taking a dig at Enzo Maresca. For me, I said no. It's not him taking a dig at Enzo Maresca. For me, I think is Cole Palmer just saying, yeah, I know I'm struggling at the minute, but I'm showing you evidence of things I've done in the past. And that's to give you confidence that going into the coming games in the season, or the remaining games in the season, I will, as Cole Palmer now, deliver because I've done it before. That's one side of it. And then on the flip side of it, I've said this. If he is indeed taking a swipe or taking a dig at Enzo Maresca, why should he be doing that? Because it makes no sense. Because he has been playing regularly on the pitch. It's not one of those things where you have your player on the bench, he's feeling sad, he's feeling a bit gloomy and sulking, and then he posts something. No, he has been playing. He has been playing that 10 role. He hasn't played that 10 role. He's been in good positions as well to score goals, to make assists. But like something that I pointed out throughout the course of the season, I said it, certain things are beginning to creep into Cole Palmer's game. I'm not saying he's not Chelsea's best player. He is Chelsea's best player. He is Chelsea's most important player. If Cole Palmer plays well, plays to the top of his ability, Chelsea generally win games. That's it 100%. Chelsea will win games. But Cole Palmer right now has certain things creeping into his game. His decision making is becoming a lot slower and worse because he holds onto the ball too long when he should let the ball go and let it play, carry on. So that's Cole Palmer. And then I've talked about Chelsea being linked, to Brighton striker Georginio Rutter. For me, Georginio Rutter, I don't think there's any credibility to that sort of news. Of course, it hasn't come from Honesty, it hasn't come from Fabrizio Romano, so I don't give it much credence. But nonetheless, Chelsea, don't go there. Don't go to Georginio Rutter. Don't look to sign that player. He is not good enough. He's just not good enough. Because going into next season, what we don't want is this thing of where you start making excuses for a poor player. Oh, he's just coming in, he's trying to acclimatize to the team. Oh, he needs more time to get used to the team. That's something you don't want to be talking about going into next season. You don't want to do that. And then there's Victor Yukeresh reports that Chelsea have had transfer boost, with respect to signing him. Still, like I said, with Georginio Rutter, I still maintain the same energy, though he's a player that I wouldn't mind having in Victor Gyökeres. It hasn't come from Romano, it hasn't come from Ornstein, so he may end up being nothing. But if Gyökeres comes to Chelsea, I'll take him. I'm happy because he scored lots of goals. He showed that he can be a really, really good finisher and he can really press. But if you talk about who I want as a striker, who I want as Chelsea's number 9 come next season, for me, it's only one name. It's only one name, and that is Victor Osimhen. He has everything: pace, energy, leadership, ability to press, ability to hold the ball up properly, ability to do it consistently. Jackson does it; he do it once in a game, and then he's unable to do it. Ability in the air, powerful header. So I think Victor Osimhen has everything. He has everything. And he's someone that once he steps on the pitch of Stamford Bridge, instantly all the fans will love it because of the way he plays. He goes 120 kilometers an hour every time he's on the pitch. Every time he's on the pitch. And he delivers as well. Scores. He scores goals. So it's not one of those where they say, he works hard. No, he does the hard, he puts in the hard yards and he scores tons of goals everywhere he's been. Apart from Wolfsburg, where he signed as a youngster. So that's why I would go for Victor Osimhen. But if you can't get Victor Osimhen, you get Victor Gyökeres, then you have to take that. But one thing you don't want to see is Nicolas Jackson as Chelsea striker come next season. There is no excuse. There is no reason for that. You've given him 2 full seasons leading the line, and he hasn't really lived up to what you would expect from a Chelsea striker. He hasn't. There are certain things in his game that didn't improve last season are still the same this season. One thing I'll give him kudos is one thing he improved from last season was each time a true pass would come in, you definitely know that for sure he was going to score that goal. Latch onto the ball, true pass, score. But awareness in the box, dealing with crosses in the box, just poor. His finishing stance, how he sets up to take shot, is poor. Really, really poor. And then I'm going to talk about Tosin Adaraboyio. Tosin Adaraboyio, he talked about his affinity to Nigeria, talked about his Nigerian heritage, how he enjoys it, talked about eating Nigerian food and all that stuff. They really make people strong, like pounded yam, like goosey soup and all those kind of things, jollof rice and all that good stuff. Yeah, that's good. But with all that, are you going to play for Nigeria? That's what I want to know. You can eat whatever you like. You can eat Ghanaian jollof, which is sad, but as long as you decide to play for Nigeria, because he is someone, at least he is the profile of centre back that Nigeria needs, in my opinion. He is the caliber, he is the profile of centre back Nigeria needs right now. Because Chus Ekonga said it, that this AFCON is his last AFCON. Chus Ekonga said it. It is his last AFCON. And who knows if he would even go for the World Cup, even if Nigeria qualifies. Who knows if Chus Ekonga will even go to the World Cup. But even if he goes to the World Cup, that will be his last competition for Nigeria. And that's it. And one thing you want to avoid is, because one thing people don't understand is that AFCON qualifiers, they come so quickly. You will be shocked that once you get to maybe September 2026, after the World Cup, AFCON qualifiers will just be around the corner. And that's not when you want to start going helter-skelter looking for players. That is where you should have your likes of Tosin Adaraboyio coming, because I think he fits the bill. He is 6'5". He can pass the ball very well, in my opinion. He sacrifices himself, to defend and prevents, shots from going in. So he's the kind of defender I think, Chelsea needs. Then, still talking about Chelsea strikers, still Chelsea and the striking situation. For me, how I look at this is this: if you want to get a striker, Victor Osimhen, number one. If you can't get Victor Gyökeres, and you want to do this cheap thing that I suspect that a blue coat is going to do anyways. That's what I suspect, that blue coat are going to go this cheapskate thing and sell everyone on potential, sell everyone on high ceiling, say, oh, if he's able to score for this team, that means, oh, you should be able to score 30 goals for Chelsea. I'm sure that's what they're going to do. So for me, there are two names that I think Chelsea should go for as opposed to Liam Delap. I think Liam Delap is going to be very expensive for what you're getting. For what you'll be getting, I think it's very expensive. For me, in Manuel Lemega at Strasbourg, I think his release clause about 20 million euros, 20 something million euros, 27, 27 million euros. So for me, I think that's an option that Chelsea should be looking at. And since more or less the same ownership group owns Strasbourg, I think that would be an easy thing to do. You get him in the building. And then he's powerful, 6'5". He's got pace. He's an actual striker. You see the way he makes the runs. He's an actual striker. Though he's young, there's Thierry Barry as well, 6'5", powerfully built striker. He is an actual striker. So if you're talking about creating those chances, those in-swinging crosses, he will latch on to them. So these are two options. That is if, mark my words, if Chelsea decide to go the cheap skate way, or let's sign a cheap striker that maybe we can flip if in 2 to 3 years, then Cherubari will be a good candidate. Then Emmanuel Vega will be a good candidate. But for me, the one you should go for if you're looking to push, have a title push, Victor Osimhen. That's it. That's who I would go for. That is the number one choice I think Chelsea should go for. And I think going into this 2025-2026 season, Chelsea should be going for their number one options. Number one options. Not people, don't stop gaps. Number one options, because teams are leaving you behind. Man City, that they have signed all the players they need to go into next season. Liverpool will also get better. Who knows? Arsenal, they keep joking around, but who knows? They could actually decide to sign a striker, and then that takes them to another level. So you don't want to be in the position where you're chasing your contemporaries. You don't want a situation where Chelsea, as a football club, you end up in 10th and you're battling for the Conference League spot again. That's something you don't want to happen next season. This season is already bad enough. It's already poor enough. And for me, players that should be sold by Chelsea anyways, Nkunku should be sold. For me, I like Nkunku's quality. I like his ability. During preseason, the way Enzo Maresca used him, beautiful, magnificent, played very, very well. But the same Enzo Maresca has finished Nkunku's confidence, and Nkunku's head is gone. Nkunku's head is no longer at Chelsea. So for me, while I feel for him, I think he should just go. I think that's what's best for both teams. This doesn't have nothing to do with he was signed from RB Leipzig. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with he should play anywhere on the pitch. That's what some managers do. I know Enzo Maresca said it before. Or any player can play anywhere on the pitch. No, that's not it. That's the kind of mentality that's killing the game. But back to the fact, Nkunku should go. Of course, Chilwell is already on loan. He should go. Sterling, I hear Arsenal are not looking to sign him. Of course, they can't look to sign him. Of course, he should go. Find a club, Crystal Palace. Just take your losses. Don't look to make huge profit on these players because a lot of them are past their sell-by date and a lot of them are damaged goods at the minute. So don't look to want to get 40, 50 million for Sterling. Maybe Saudi can offer you that, but is he willing and ready to go to Saudi? That's one thing you have to consider. So for me, you get 25 million pound bid for Sterling. You let him go, and then you get his wage bill off your books, and that already frees up funds to sign it to pay a top class striker, because that's what excuse people are making. Oh, wages, 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 and then Rob Sanchez should go because he's too inconsistent. One moment he's making top class save, and then another minute he's making elementary, playground mistakes, playground errors that lead to Chelsea conceding goals. So for me, I think he's another one that should go. If you ask me, which goalkeeper should Chelsea get? I think Mike Penders. I think he should be brought in. He fits the profile. Some people might say he's young. He'll be 20 come next season. So people might be saying he's young, but I think he is Courtois 2.0. That's my opinion. I may be wrong. 6 to 7, he's comfortable with the ball at his feet. I think he should be brought in already to the team come next season. Some people might say Petrovic. I get why people will say Petrovic because he is, more experienced on the two, and he has really improved at Strasbourg. He has really improved at Strasbourg. So I think, he should come in. Now we go to another position on the pitch, which is the midfield. That midfield, that's six. Andrew Santos coming back, Leslie Gochku coming back, Kaisedo already there. Lavia, I know he's always injured, but he is still in that position. So, will Enzo Maresca, if he still has all these central midfielders available, would he still opt for playing a fullback in that eighth role? Would he still do it? For me, I don't think he should, but I think he's proven to us that he's one of those philosophy guys, one of those added Pep disciples, and they play the way they want to play, irrespective of the results. So let's see, what happens with that one. And then talking about Nigeria, still going on to talk a discussion about Nigeria, Afolayan, says he awaits a call from jail. He awaits the NFF to get in touch with him as he decided to play for Nigeria. So for me, I think he's someone that should be looked at. For me, never leave talent on the table. And this Unity Cup presents a fine opportunity to give some of these players game time because that will show, show the fans that okay, he is capable to play for the Super Eagles, or he is not capable to play for the Nigeria Super Eagles. So I think that's something that should be, looked at seriously. But one point that I've raised before and I want to raise it again, and that is this. That is this. Top You shouldn't only be getting those ones that England doesn't want, that Spain doesn't want, that Germany doesn't. Germany's not even thinking about. The top players that can be absolute game changers for the club, sorry, for the country. Those players should also be looked at. Each and one, for instance, Noah Denji Stanbic, for instance, those are the players you should look at as well. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, you can't get them." Most European countries interested in a player, you can't get them. Countries have shown that they can do it. Morocco is doing it on a regular. Even Sierra Leone is doing it. Tunisia, they're all getting these players. Congo as well. So you can't just sit on your hands and make that a reason, make that an excuse. So those are my thoughts on the dual national thing. My thoughts on Palmer and Enzo Maresca. Thoughts on transfer dealings and transfer news. And Tosin as well. I talked to Tosin. So what are your thoughts and opinions on these various topics that I've spoken about this evening? Let me know your thoughts and opinion. So I'll be back in a minute. Just hold on. Yeah, so I'm back and welcome to the channel. So thanks for staying on. So some of the Champions League games are going on. PSG leading at halftime, 1-2 against Aston Villa. Dortmund leading 1-0 halftime against Barcelona. But on aggregate, of course, Barcelona still leading 4-1, and then PSG still leading 5-2 or 2-5 on aggregate. So I think end of the day, PSG will qualify, to the next round, and Barcelona will qualify to the next round as well. And speaking about Dortmund, what are your thoughts? There are two players I want to talk about now. There's Grassi and there's Kani Chukwuemeka. Now, obviously, Grassi, from a Chelsea perspective, is he a striker that you would take if all else fails? If all else fails, if Chelsea are not looking to pay money for Victor Osimhen, this is a striker you would take because he's built on what he did last season. He's scoring tons and tons of goals. Really good technique in the box, powerful striker. So is this someone you would take? Is this someone you would take back? You take a Chelsea? Because if you're like me, where I'm just out on Jackson as a striker, completely out. Jackson can play as a left winger. I'm completely out on him as a striker. So, what would you do? Would you take Kurasi if he was available? And then Kani Chukwuemeka. So, I look at Kani Chukwuemeka from two perspectives: one, as a Chelsea fan, and secondly, as a Nigerian as well. So, for me, Kani Chukwuemeka, I think he's someone that can, be occupy the second slot for that number 10 role where Palmer plays. I think he can occupy that spot. So Palmer can come off and he can come on, give Palmer time to rest and just like that. But the way Enzo Maresca has gone this season, the way he's, really managed Palmer this season, which I think has been very poor, I don't think that I don't think that he would get game time to play. So I think probably he should leave. That he's another one that should leave, not because he doesn't have the technique to play Chelsea, but I just think the way Enzo Maresca managed certain players, he maybe for his furtherance of his career and to take some weight off the wage bill, it would be best for him to leave. In my opinion. And then on the flip side of things, Kanu Chukwuemeka, I think, should play for Nigeria. 100%. He should play for Nigeria. 100%. Because for me, that 10 role, I keep talking about it and one, he's the number one choice. And then who is the other person we're looking at? For me, it should be Kanu Chukwuemeka, and then there's Francis Onyeka. Francis Onyeka that plays for Bayer Leverkusen. He should be another person that should be looked at for that number 10 role. But Kanu Chukwuemeka, for me, surely must be a choice. Surely must be someone to be looked at. So early days of during the early days of Eric Chill's head coach reign at Nigeria, there was talk of Leslie Gochukwu, there was talk of Kanu Chukwuemeka, and for me, Leslie Gochukwu makes sense. If you want to play that lone six business, Leslie Gochukwu is your man. Ebenezer Kensimiro is your man. Wilfred Ndidi is not your guy for that lone six. Wilfred Ndidi will thrive if you have some other person paired up with him where they can both share that defensive task, because he can control the game. He can be a shield, stand in front of the back four, but at this point in Ndidi's career, he can't be that deep line playmaker / central defensive midfielder that helps control the pace of the game. I just don't think he can do that. It's never been his bag. It's not his bag still. So for me, I think help should come in. Ebenezer Kensimiro, Leslie Gochukwu, these two players should look at for that central defensive midfield role, especially the way Enzo Maresca wants. The way Eric Chill wants to play. And then as well, Uche Santos must be in the next team. In my opinion, he should be in the next team. So that's how I look at it. So what are your thoughts and opinions on that one? What are your thoughts and opinions on Kanu Chukwuemeka? Is he a player you want to see come back to Chelsea? Do you think he should even come back, or should just cash in on him anyways? Cash in with him and let him go have his wage bill off, have his wages off the wage bill, and then he goes to play somewhere else because I just think he would have the opportunity to play. Unfortunately, so because he's so super gifted. I know injuries have been a thing, but even in addition to that, when he's been fit and available, Enzo Maresca has not even really been keen to use him. Although you can say Nkunku is ahead of him, you could say João Felix was ahead of him, and even those even those ones were not even playing. They were not even playing. You're playing 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You're playing garbage minutes. Those minutes that mean nothing. So that's what they are playing. So I think he should also leave because right now, the most important position to fill at Chelsea is that striking position, that number 9. I know Chelsea would need a centre back. I know Chelsea needs a goalkeeper for sure. But if Chelsea had a proper striker this season, maybe not compete for the league title, but at least finish in top 4 comfortably and keep the football mathematics out of it. There wouldn't be any calculated, oh, if we win that, Chelsea would have been comfortably sat in that top 4 position because though we blame Enzo Maresca for a lot of things he's getting wrong at the minute, but the way he set the team up, earlier in the season, there are tons and tons of chances that Chelsea strikers just keep missing, i.e., Nicholas Jackson. Even in the game, versus Ipswich Town this past weekend, tons and tons of chances. Look at the chance Jackson missed. For me, I still feel there's still some fundamental error with the way Enzo Maresca sets up his team. I still feel that 100%. But certain players are just not living up to the hype, living up to the standard that's set for them. I just think like Jackson, I think that's it. It's done. He's had 2 seasons and a bit more and a bit at this point. So for me, I think if he wants to play for Chelsea, or if he should play for Chelsea, he should play at that left wing. That's where it would be more. That's where it would suit him more because he'll be freer there. The burden of having to lead the line and score goals will be off his shoulders. So if he has a season where he scores 8 goals, and comes up with 5 or 6 assists in the Premier League from that left wing position, it'll be a great season for him. But right now, if he has 8, 9, 10 goals for Chelsea, it's not seen as a good season. It's not. It's not seen as a good season. So for me, I think that left wing, that's where he should play. That's where he should call his home. And a proper number 9 should be signed. Proper number 9 should be signed. That's it. That's it. In my opinion, that's it. So now, if you're a Nigerian fan watching this, I want to ask you, Afolayan, is this someone you want to play for Nigeria? Is this someone? Because I'm thinking about it. Like he's not pulled up any trees, but he's been on good form for St. Pauli in the German Bundesliga. But has he really been super, super fantastic? And he plays in the position where there are a lot of other talents available, like Justin Jima is there, Chukwueze is in the team, Ademola Lookman is in the team. Noah Stenberg, I think, is a far better talent, for one of those roles. So is this someone you want to take? Is this someone you would have? For me, what I say is this: while he's not my first, second, third choice, I will take him because you don't leave talent on the table. If someone is willing to play for the country and he is indeed decent enough to contribute, then he can be part of the squad. And he can use friendly games like the Unity Cup coming up, other friendly matches coming up to, test his mettle to see if he is indeed good enough. And then Tosin as well. I think Tosin is another player that, should be looked at as well. I said it before, it's someone that should be looked at. The next World Cup qualifying cycle that's coming along, there's no room for errors, no room for mistakes. No room for mistakes. So those are my thoughts and opinions on the subject matter. What you think, let me know in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel and share this video to people who you think would also love this comment. And okay, going into the Champions League games, who do you think is going to win those matches, those games? Right now, Dortmund they're leading at home, but they're obviously losing on aggregate 4-1. PSG are leading away to Aston Villa 2-1, but they're leading on aggregate, so they're 5-2. So what do you think will qualify from this round of fixtures in Champions League? I think it's just easy to say PSG will qualify, easy. Barcelona will qualify. I don't think they're going to throw this one away. They will qualify. And then going to the Arsenal game, do you think Real Madrid has a chance? I think Real Madrid has a chance, but may not be for the reasons you think. Now, Real Madrid, there's a thing that always happens, and the pundits will always turn a blind eye to it. Anytime Real Madrid is playing against another team, it could be a dodgy penalty that's given, it could be an offside that VAR didn't quite see. So with that, Real Madrid could have a chance. Because I feel if Arsenal concedes the first goal, it's going to be really, really difficult for them. That's just the way I see it. But the way Arteta has chosen to set Arsenal up, I think possibly they can come out of it successful because they can play dirty, they can defend deep, make it difficult for Real Madrid and deny the likes of Junior, the likes of Mbappe space in behind to use their pace. Rodrigo as well deny them space, for them to use their pace and running behind. So maybe that's a way where Arsenal can frustrate Real Madrid. But I just feel if Real Madrid scores the first goal in that game, then it's really going to be super, super difficult for Arsenal. I say it's going to be super difficult for Arsenal. They've got a halftime break. So Chelsea plays Liga Warsaw on Thursday. Now, Chelsea plays, Enzo Maresca plays, Blue Coat, Bowley, and the likes. Please, can we not be in the Conference League Cup next season? Can we just be in the Champions League? Is that even possible? Or maybe go to Europa League, maybe, but this Conference League, man, doesn't feel good at all. So, we'll run through everything we've discussed so far on this video, on this live stream. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on them. Enzo Maresca, what do you even think about him? Do you think he should be sacked? For me, I'm not there yet. But for me, I think he's walking a tightrope right now. He's walking a tightrope. Enzo Maresca. I'm not saying he should be sacked, but by the works of his hands, the way he sets up the team, he could get himself fired, he could get himself sacked. For me, one thing I've always said, I said it with Potter, I said it with Pochettino, and I'll say it again because I'm not one of those that worships any manager. I don't. If as a manager you play a player in the wrong position, in a position that doesn't suit that player, if the team plays badly, you will be pointed out. Who might say, oh, this player is not world class, Gusto is not world class, that player is not world class. But I want to ask you, which world class fullback would thrive playing as a midfielder, playing as an 8? People say, oh, I want Kekej, give us Kekej from Bournemouth. Okay. When you sign, if and when Chelsea signs Kekej, and Enzo Maresca decides that, okay, I want him to invest, if he struggles, would you remember that you still wanted Kekej? Would you still remember? Would you then call out Enzo Maresca for playing him in an odd position? So for me, I'm not saying Enzo Maresca go or let him be sacked, but he has to cut out this rubbish from his coaching. There's no dynamism. And we don't understand the how fullback dynamism affects the game positively. It opens up a lot of possibilities for your fullbacks. People say Kvaratskhelia playing so well for PSG. Look at how the movement. But do you see the movement of Hakimi? Do you see the movement of Nuno Mendes? That frees up these players to play the way they want to play. But can you imagine Nuno Mendes living in the midfield, Hakimi living in the midfield, no one to overlap and make those runs behind the defender? Then you get the midfield compact. Then you make life difficult for Bakola, make life difficult for Kvaratskhelia. You make life difficult for all these players. And that's what Enzo Maresca is making Chelsea feel right now. Having everybody compact into that midfield, nobody's making runs to support Madueke, so to support Neto. It's just cramped up. So he has to change his tactics. If he doesn't change it, and Chelsea continues to lose or drop points, then he may very well go. Let me just say this about using things the right way. If I had a microphone and I put it in my ear, and you were not hearing me well, you couldn't hear my voice very well, wouldn't you say, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he putting the mic in his ears? The mic should be, close to his lips, close to his mouth, so he can speak to it and we can hear it. It's the same thing. Enzo Maresca has people playing in wrong positions, and people are wondering, oh, Gusto was so good last season. Why is he so poor now? Because right now he's not playing as a fullback, he's playing as an eight. And I'm not seeing dynamism in it. I'm not seeing that dynamic play. I'm not seeing that dynamic play. So I'll say one last thing and then I will end this video as well. So, Eric Chell, what I say to Enzo Maresca, I say to you as well. Play players in their rightful position. I don't want to see Ola Aina inverting into midfield from left back. He is a right back. I don't want to see Ademola Lookman languishing, in a strange position. You've tried him 2 games, it hasn't worked. Take him back to his regular position, to where he thrives, to the position where he won African best, the African best player, to the position where he helped Atlanta win the Europa League. Play him in his rightful position. Play him in his rightful position. Play Bruno Yemachi in that left back position. Why? Play him there. So he can help affect the team positively. You want to play attacking football, use the tools you have available to you. Use the tools you have available to you. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. So, so that's what I've thought. That's what I wanted to say. So, thank to everyone who's watched this stream from start till finish. I really thank you for your support. If you're subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed and you want to, just click that subscribe button. And also, you can share the video to people you feel will love this kind of content as well. And any things you want to see on the channel, let me know in the chats and in the comments. And I'll see you on yet another video. So stay well.